Hey everybody, I'm Steph.
I'm Michael
Today we're checking out Age of Innovation.
from Capstone Games. So, Age of Innovation is a Terra Mystica game set in that universe, and it uses quite a few of those mechanisms.
Yep.
It plays 1 to 5 players and plays, according to the box, in about 40 minutes per player. Now, that's going to take a little bit longer the first few times you play, so keep that in mind.
And there's quite a bit of setup that we just went through, but we're going to tell you all about that.
Yep, we've already done all the setup, but yeah, we'll walk you through the setup because, man, it's a lot.
It is definitely a lot. So we're actually going to do 2 videos, one for the setup and rules teach, and then one for the playthrough. So if you're looking for the rules teach, you've come to the right place. If you're looking for the playthrough, click the next video. If you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, it's in the below area.
That's right, and maybe someday we will do a video for Terra Mystica and Gaia Project.
I love me some Gaia Project. That's my favorite of the three.
And before we even go into the game, I think a lot of people want to know, for someone who has played a lot of Terra Mystica and Gaia Project and now Age of Innovation, which is your favorite?
Yeah, my favorite's Gaia Project just because the board versatility. It's really easy to move around. It's easier, I should say, to move around the board to get to new locations. So for me, that works better than a solid static board where I might get blocked in or whatever. That being said, I still have a great time playing this and Terra Mystica. So they're both great games. And I think Michael will point out as we're going through the rules all the differences because they are nicely highlighted in the rule book. But, I think for the most part, it feels pretty similar to Terra Mystica. So if you do enjoy that one, I would say you're probably going to enjoy this one too.
I think so as well. I do enjoy the modular way of choosing the factions and the planning boards.
That works really well.
They're not static.
Right.
It's not one faction on a certain color planning board. It could be a different faction on some different planning board that maybe you're not used to, which will greatly increase the playability, I think.
Yeah, so yesterday when we played, or 2 days ago when we played this the first time, I was actually blue. And this time I've drafted blue again, but it's with a whole new power. So it's like, I still have my blue board, which has its own ability, but then I also have a new power. So it's like,
right.
I really like how they did that. So that is definitely a huge plus for those who like changing up things. So we're going to get into that and what that means. But yeah, it's really nice.
I agree. So before we get into the rules, let me thank Capstone Games for providing this copy of Age of Innovation to us, but they didn't give it to us in exchange for this video. They gave it to us because they know we like to play all the games. And now let's get into setup and all the rules
with Michael.
So we've got the main board turned sideways, and we've got all of these combinations of factions and planning display cards and the round bonus tiles out, and I'll explain that in a minute. The first thing that you need to do is to choose the correct side of the board for the side of the board that corresponds with your player count. This side is used for 1 to 3 players.
You can't really see it. It's covered up right now.
It's totally covered up. So, and there are additional setup steps for 2 players, which I will go over with you. You're going to mix up the 12 round score tiles, and they're not round. That's one of my favorite dad jokes. And you're going to place 6 of them from top to bottom on this track. You'll notice the little moon tiles here. And you're going to place them on here. Now, there is one little quirk with this. There is this particular tile. I'm trying to find out where this is. If you reveal this tile, this particular tile here, as one of the first 2 tiles you place on the top, set it aside till you fill the top 2 spaces. Then shuffle it back together with the other tiles before you place more tiles, because you cannot have this in either of the top 2 squares. Um, the left half of these tiles will show how you might gain points each round. For those of you who have played Terra Mystica, this will be quite familiar to you. The right side is a little different. These are going to show science bonuses for your levels in 4 different disciplines. This one is the engineering discipline, and it shows the bonus you're going to get if you have enough points in the science disciplines over here. So, you'll also take the 4 final round score tiles. One of them is here, and place one of them on top of the round score tile for round 6 so that there is no science bonus because you don't need it for the final round. If for some reason you have the same type of building on the left and on the right after placing this round bonus tile, switch it out so that it's not the same. Use a different one instead. However, in this game, that one is sitting on round 5. The round bonus tile that I've chosen is on round 6. It always goes on round 6, and that is a different type of building on the other side. You're going to take the 6 book action tiles and mix them up together and place 3 of them on the book action spaces on the game board. These are the ones down here in the corner, and they have some way of converting books to some kind of action.
Pretty cool.
And those can be used once per turn. I'll get into that a little bit later. Place the turn order and science display next to the game board. This is the science display. The turn order we've got over here to the side. We might actually move it onto the game board once we've gotten going. But really, you only need to know in our game who's going first and second. I'm not sure if you can see it behind Steph's head, but we'll take a look at that here momentarily. I might be able to move that down here. Can you see the red and the blue?
That's a little better. And just to be clear, I am the blue one this game.
So this is odd. Steph always plays red. I always play blue. I'm actually wearing blue.
Yep.
And we've chosen opposite colors. So we'll get into that here in a second.
Typical.
You're going to place the base section of the innovation display next to the game board. This also has 2 different sides. This is the 2 and 4 player side, as noted here. The other side are for different player counts, so make sure to put it on the correct side. Then you are going to mix up the 18 innovation tiles and place 1 on each of the innovation spaces. All the rest, back to the box. Turn all the competency tiles face down. You'll notice some of them have little ribbons on them and some do not. Take all the ones with ribbons on them. Mix them up and place them on this lower half of the board. Notice how this goes modularly together like so. Depending on player count, you might have another board to sneak in here that has more innovation spots. 2-player game does not need it, so we've got that closed up.
Yeah, or you flip it over.
Or I already mentioned that.
Yeah.
So anyway, you put these competency tiles down, and then it says to place all of the other ones that match on top. Now, really, the only reason for having one have a ribbon on it and the other ones to not is just so you have 12 to mix up so that you can randomize it. Choose whatever way is best for you. Instead of putting all of them out, Steph and I have only put out 2 on each spot because you can never have more than 1 of the same competency tile. We'll get into that in a little bit as well. There are 2 ways for draft setup. The first way involves, put all of your tokens and stuff out. All of the tokens we've got are hidden out here. The coins and the tool cubes and the city
and the terrain.
Things and the terrain. It's important to note that these terrain tiles come in 2 different sizes. The punch board for this has extra large terrain tokens that are different size to these. You'll notice that these are I don't know if you can see it, but there's a yellow ring around this red because it is ever so slightly larger. I've got the red and yellow tokens up against my finger, and you notice that it's a little bit larger. The cut was a little bit large for it. So um, keep in mind, we did not throw ours out because you might run out of tokens in some games. So just in case, I recommend that you make a baggie up with your extra large terrain tokens and put them to the side. There are also a lot of Atama tokens. I'm not going to go over the Atama setup for a solo player, but we also put a baggie with all of the Atama components and put those together. So as I mentioned, as I started to talk about, put out all of these tiles, but first you're going to need this palace tile, and you're going to put it face up next to the game board. You're going to mix up all of the remaining palace tiles. They all have a palace on the back. You're going to mix them all together and choose one per player plus one. So we've got our red one, which is always, it always looks like this. And then for 2 players, we've got 3 additional ones. Just put them to the side of the game board. This is going to be used whenever we have completed our palace. For all of the faction and planning displays, lay out all the planning display cards. There are 7 of them, 1 per color. You're going to lay them all out. You are going to take all of the faction tiles and you are going to shuffle them up and put out one next to each of the faction tiles, the planning display cards. And then you're going to take all of the round bonus tiles, shuffle them up, place one next to each of your sets. So you've got 7 different sets to choose from, starting from the last player and going counterclockwise. You're going to choose one of these 3 sets. And that will, I forgot to mention the round bonus tiles that are not randomly placed out here. They're going to go here with a coin on top of each.
They will be in your game for
These will definitely be in the game. In addition, whatever round bonus tile you take is going to be your starting round bonus tile. So, Steph and I have already chosen. Capstone recommends this type of distribution for your first few games. There is a variant, which I will describe. If you want a little more variety, which I think I'm going to give a little caveat here, I think it could lead to some sameness in games. And I'll explain why in a second. But what you should do is you're going to shuffle the 7 planning display cards and put 6 of them out, leaving 1 unavailable. You're going to randomly select a number of faction tiles equal to players plus 1 and place them out, and a number of palace tiles equal to number of players plus 1. Do not use the one with the red. And a number of round bonus tiles equal to number of players plus 3. Then, all of these are going to be individual components at this point. Starting with the start player, not backwards draft, but forwards draft, the start player will choose one of the following, and you can choose these in any order. You can take a planning display tile, or a faction tile, or a round bonus tile, but only one of them. And you're going to go through around the table 3 times drafting until you've got your 3 things.
What about the palace tiles too? 4 things.
Sorry. Planning display, faction tile, and palace tile. Finally, beginning with the player to the right of the start player, going counterclockwise, that's when you do the round bonus tile. Sorry.
Okay.
So go around 3 times, picking palace, the faction, and planning display. Then going backwards, take your round bonus.
Okay.
I got to clarify that a little bit. I did mess that up a little bit,
We
but
haven't played that way. So.
we haven't played that way. You're going to place your palace tile on your planning display, and you're not going to need what's called your palace placeholder tile. All this does is it goes on your board to keep your palace nice and snug on your board. Guess what? You don't really need it. I think they had extra space on their cardboard. Why not? Go ahead and
put them in there.
And put it in there, sure. So anyway, Steph has chosen the blue. I will give her the blue.
We don't.
Yeah. Well, you do need this.
I'll definitely need that.
I need my goblins.
And I'll clean up the board while you get into.
And all of let me explain this a little bit. You'll notice that I'm going to start off with a book and a cube, and my second innovation tile will not cost me anything extra, is what this means. You don't need this card. Why? Because everything that you have is going to start off here at the top. Remember, I get a book and a cube. Well, instead of starting off with 3 cubes and 15 gold, I get 1 book, 4 cubes, and 15 gold. Notice Steph starts with 3 cubes and 15 gold. So this card already taken care of. The innovation tile that I don't have to pay for, notice Steph has to pay for her second one. I do not. So it's all taken care of on my wasteland board because these goblins like the wasteland. Okay. So I'm going to put this off to the side, and Steph can begin cleaning all of these up.
This was yours, I believe.
Oh, yes, that was mine. Thank you.
So these all just go away. We're not using them this game.
So you'll also need a few neutral buildings. The neutral buildings that we will need in our game are based on the neutral buildings that are out here on the competency tiles and the innovation tiles. We've got one up here that says to place a workshop. So when I acquire this innovation tile, I get a free neutral workshop. This is going to be my workshop. It just is not my color, and it does not give me any income.
But it belongs to you because it's on your terrain.
It does belong to me. And that's how you determine who owns what. For example, if you see this tower on this terrain, you know that it belongs to me because goblins like the wasteland.
True.
I would not be able to put that tower on any other terrain because the goblins like the wasteland. Now, we've got our one, I'll make sure I've used the correct terminology here. One workshop, one guild, and 2 of the towers, because each of us can get 1 tower each from the competency tiles. We will not need the other ones, but I gotta show them off. They look rather fantastic, like a monument. Or hey, you might even get an additional university or palace, or an additional school, which you do have some of these already. You don't have the ability to build monuments or towers. You're going to take your board. You're going to place the number of power tokens as shown on your board. This works very much like Gaia Project and Terra Mystica, where you've got a number of power tokens that are going to circulate around. I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. You're going to place all of your workshops, your guilds, your schools, your palace, and your university on your player board. 2 cubes go here on the bottom of your terraforming track and your sailing track. You've got your little modular faction that goes here. And that should just about do it. We are going to take our initial income. We're going to start off with whatever is here. And I believe we're going to get normal income.
Yeah, because we have our starting
in phase 1.
Too.
Is there anything else I'm leaving out from personal setup? So we're also going to put our 7 scholars, which look like this, and our 3 bridges, which are basically just wood sticks, next to our board in the supply. Those are
You
just going
don't
to,
belong to you. Well, the scholars don't belong to you yet. You have to acquire them,
we have to find a way to acquire them.
and then we can use them.
Yes, and we're going to need them for certain effects, like advancing on the terraforming and sailing tracks.
Right.
So,
Time roller, thanks for that raid, by the way.
hey, Time Roller, raiding with a party of 10. Thanks for the raid. What were y'all playing? We are teaching Age of Innovation. You're going to put one of your status markers on level 0 of each of these science tracks. Notice that there are 4 science tracks. There is banking, law, engineering, and medicine. I'll talk a little bit about those in a second. You may notice, hey, what's that green token sitting there? Ah, that's a neutral player, and that is going to be used for 2-player setup. Let's talk a little bit about that real quick. For the 2-player game, you're going to take 4 area score tiles. Those of you who have played Terra Mystica know that you're going to get some sort of final score for your largest area on the board based on the number of buildings. One of these will say 12, one will say 13, one is 14, one is 15. We're going to shuffle these up, take one at random. Steph, you can take one. We're going to put it right here, and we're going to flip it between round 5 and round 6 so we know what our competition is. This is what the green player has. So that way we might get, yeah, Eat to Surf says, hey, what's that green token sitting there? Thank you, Eat to Surf. I'm glad you asked. So you're also going to put one of the green scholars or any color that you're not using. You're going to place it on one of these number 2s. It doesn't matter which number 2 you put it on, but whenever you put a scholar on here, you're going to advance up 2 little notches. And so there's a little competition for us. We're going to count up all of the little symbols on these round scoring tokens, and we're going to advance the green neutral player up that many spots. So, for instance, the only white color that we have is right here. There are 4 little notches. We're going to put him from 2 up to a 6. So, notice he's way up on the engineering track. He's hardly moved at all on the law track. Now, at the end of the game, we are going to get points, 8, 4, or 2 points based on whether we're first, second, or third on each of the tracks. So we want to at least get ahead of the green player. And that's basically all we do different for the 2-player game. You're also going to put your player what do you call this? The turn order marker on the track. You decide you want to put it here?
Sure.
Sure. It's fine right here. Notice that this spot is not really used in a 2-player game. Gives us lots of area to put these on there. Other things. So now a lot of this that I'm going to mention is going to be well known to those of you who play Terra Mystica. So just bear with it for a little while, and I'll try to specifically point out the things that are new to Age of Innovation. So beginning with the start player and going in turn order, we're going to place one of our workshops on a terrain space on the game board that matches the color of the planet display. Therefore, I am going to place on the wastelands because I like wastelands. So I'm going to place one. Steph is going to place one. Then going backwards, Steph is going to place her second. Then I'm going to place my second. There are some of the factions that will place stuff after all of this initial setup placement. For example, the monks don't set up at all until everyone is done, and then they put one thing on the board, and that's it. So, basically, anytime you see one of these beige numbers, that means that you're going to score some amount of points. So anytime you see that, take that number of points. Let's see here. Let's talk a little bit about gaining power. You've got 3 power bowls, 1, 2, and 3. Whenever you want to use power, you can use it only if you have power in bowl 3. How do you get power into bowl 3? Well, anytime that you see um, anything with a white arrow on it, it means that you gain power. When you gain power, you're going to move. If you have power in bowl 1, it will move to bowl 2. If you don't have any power in bowl 1, then you can move power from bowl 2 to bowl 3. If you don't have any power in bowl 2 and it's all in bowl 3, you're not going to be able to gain any more power because it's all ready for you to use. So anytime you see a white arrow, it means gain power. Anytime you see a black arrow, it means to lose power. For example, on all of these power actions, standard actions, you're going to spend some amount of power in order to get some ability. And you're going to spend the power, you're going to dump the power from bowl 3 into bowl 1. And so what happens if you want to gain power again? Power has to go from bowl 1 to bowl 2 to bowl 3 before it can become available again.
To get
it's super difficult. So, let's talk a little bit about native terrain. Everybody has one native terrain that they like. Notice I like wasteland, as I mentioned before. If I want to put any of my buildings onto the board, I have to make the land turn into wasteland. Some land is easier to turn into wasteland than others. For example, look at my power wheel right here. In order to change mountains or desert to wasteland, it takes one shovel for me to change it into wasteland. If I wanted to change forest, or this really looks like would planks.
It does, but it's plain.
It's plains. If I wanted to change these to wasteland, it costs me 2 shovels. If I want to change her precious lakes or these swamps to wasteland, I think swamp should be closer to wasteland, but whatever, it cost me 3 shovels to do. Now, if I want to change something, if I want to terraform it to something I like, I can't change it the opposite way on my terrain wheel. I have to bring it towards myself. I can't bring something away from Steph just because I want her to not have it. Though we are on opposite sides of the wheel, so it really doesn't matter as much for us. But let's say, for instance, Steph were mountains instead. I can't take a lake and move it to swamp, then to plains, then to desert. I have to make it this direction. In the game we played just the other day, I actually had to change something to lake, which you were playing blue. I had to change it to lake because I was playing the swamps. And so I had a forest I had to change to a lake before I could change it to a swamp. That tile is at risk of her putting something on it.
Oh, yeah.
If I don't change it to swamp. And even if I do change it to swamp, if I don't put a building on it, she could change it right behind me.
Yep.
So keep that in mind.
Yeah. Do it.
So, let me see. There are some concepts about adjacency and reach that we need to talk about. Whenever you are going to expand on the game board, you are going to have to be built directly adjacent to one of your spots. For example, if I had placed right here, it might be a little hard to see, but my buildings are on the wasteland, so they're always going to be a little difficult to see with the colors directly onto the exact color spaces. But if I want to build, I can only build in these surrounding spaces by default. If I have built a bridge, I could possibly get adjacency. For example, if I were here, and I built a bridge, I would also be adjacent to this desert. I would not still not be adjacent to this, and I cannot build a bridge across the wide part of this hex. I'd have to build to the desert and then build to the hex, or to the mountains and then build to this hex, unless I have sailing ability. Notice my sailing ability is now 0.
I got 1.
If my sailing ability were 1, I can skip 1 river hex in order to get to my next destination. So I would be able to place here if my sailing ability were 1. If my sailing ability were 2, maybe I'd be able to go 1, 2, and maybe I could roughly terraform her precious lake into wasteland. And doing so, I would place one of my little terrain tokens. If I had a sailing of 3, which is the most I could be, I could go 1, 2, 3. I can be way over here. Now, these are still not considered adjacent, but I have reach to them.
Right.
So, in order to form a city, you're going to need adjacent buildings. Now, I haven't put the terraforming markers on it, but these could potentially grow someday to be a city. These cannot necessarily grow to be a city, nor can these. However, if I have a bridge here, these can grow to be a city because this is now considered adjacent to this. But I have to build this bridge. So, trying to see if there's anything else I need to tell you guys. Whenever you build adjacent to someone in another faction, so let's say Steph is here on this lake hex, and I build right here. It doesn't matter what I build, Steph could potentially gain power from it. And the more things she has next to this spot, the larger chance that she will be able to gain gain power from it. I'm trying to find one of your lakes here. Here you go. And then you just pretend that's a lake. So let's say that Steph was all around here and I place here. We're going to look at the amount of power that she gets from these buildings. For these workshops, it's power 1. For these buildings here, it's power 2. For these top-notch buildings, it's power 3. So how much power can she get from me building or for me growing my buildings next to where she has buildings? She will get the sum of all of this. So she's got 3 level 1 buildings. That's worth 3 power. But for her to get this 3 power, she's got to lose 2 points. 1 fewer than. Now, if Steph only has that 1 workshop there, and I place next to her, pop quiz, how much power can she get? Well, she has 1 level 1 building. She can get 1 power for 0 points. She gets it for free. So she would take one of her bowl 1 power tokens and move it to bowl 2. She cannot move bowl 2 to bowl 3 until bowl 1 is clear. So always keep that in mind. And so as long as you are building something, which includes building something new or building something bigger to replace something smaller, all of those gaining power rules apply. You cannot choose to lose points below 0 on the score track. Notice each of us are at position 20. We have 20 points to start the game. I should have mentioned that during setup, but I did pass right over that. You can, remember when I said that you can eventually create cities on the game board. In order to do that, you're going to need at least 4 adjacent buildings. So, ta-da, here I have 4 buildings. Let's pretend all of these are wasteland because we love wasteland. So, I've got my 4 buildings here. Can I build a city here? Not quite yet, because I'm also going to need, in addition to 4 adjacent buildings, I have to have a total power of at least 7. This is power 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Upgrading this to a workshop makes this a 5. Let's say I got a couple of workshops. That makes that a 6. Let's say I upgrade one of these workshops to a palace. Oh, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I now have enough to turn into a city. As soon as you found a city, you are going to get to collect one of these city tiles that they are out of view because I believe they are under our faces. All of the city tiles look similar to this. It's going to give you some number of points. It's going to give you a key, and it's going to give you some abilities, such as 2 spades, 2 of those shovels for doing terraforming instantly, or gaining power, or any number of other things. So you're going to choose one of the available city bonuses and place it in your city like so. Now, if I had another batch over here, if the if the groups of buildings are touching, they're adjacent, they're all part of the same city. You can't say, oh no, this is one city and this is another city. Can't do that. You have to create a disconnected group of 4 or more buildings that have power at least 7. So I'll explain. So the ability underneath here is instant. The points are instant. I'll explain the key momentarily. So I'll put this back here. Put back my buildings. Why do they call them buildings? They're already built. It's a dad joke. The neutral buildings, as I mentioned, they are indeed yours. They're just colored differently. They can be used to make cities, and you know that they're yours because, hey, they're on the fantastic wasteland because goblins love wasteland. Let's talk a little bit about the science display. Anytime now, some of this is new to Terra Mystica players. For each level you gain in a discipline, you're going to advance one level in that corresponding discipline. Whenever you pass over these areas here, you're going to gain power, assuming you can gain power. In order to advance past level 8, this part is the different part. Notice there are keys up here. You're going to have to take one of your city tiles and turn it over so that you've used the key and you can advance your marker beyond level 7 into 8 through 12. If you're unwilling or unable to use a key and you would have gotten additional levels, those levels are forfeited. Lost. If your marker is level 9 or higher, you're going to get an additional income during the income phase. And finally, only one status marker can advance to level 12. Once level 12 has been reached, no other player can reach level 12. So keep in mind that whenever you pass over these and you're gaining some amount of power, remember, if your power bank is full, you cannot take any more power. Additionally, remember the power bonus that I mentioned for building next to somebody? You must take all or nothing. You can't take some of it. So if Steph could qualify for 3 power in exchange for 2 points, she can't say, no, I just want 1 power for no points. Nope, can't do that.
Nope.
There are only, I believe, 2 instances when you can disregard that. And I don't see it here but I believe that if I come to it, I will let you know. I can't quite remember what that is, or maybe I'm thinking of terraforming. But there are a couple of instances. It is this.
Yeah, I think if you could only take one, then you get one.
But you have to give up all of the points that you would have.
I don't think so.
No, I think you're right. You don't have to take it. If you have all of yours in here except for 1 and you move 1, then you pay no points.
You pay no points.
2 is 1 point, 3 is 2 points, etc.
Right.
But I believe that that's the only time that you can ever do that. Now, keep in mind, if you know you're going to gain some, you might want to empty things out on your turn. If you'll notice on your planning board, there are some power conversions you can do at any time on your turn, not on your opponent's turn. So you can always trade 5 power for one of your scholars. You can turn 3 power into a cube. You can turn 1 power into a coin. You can turn 5 power into a book. And you can turn a book into a coin, a scholar into a cube, or a cube into a coin. So a scholar can go scholar, cube, coin. You don't want to spend a scholar to make him a coin.
It's really sad if you do that.
You might often
if you're
spend a power to get a coin.
Oh yeah,
that happens all the time.
That happens a lot.
So you also probably don't want to spend a book to turn into a coin. Now I forgot all the first game that I could take 5 power and turn it into a book because it's disconnected on the sheet. But keep in mind that these conversions can and should be done anytime you think you're about to get power that you did not plan for.
Or if you're really looking to get something specific like a scholar or a book.
Absolutely.
And you happen to have extra power, which is rare.
Now, that's some general concepts about the game. Terra Mystica Gaia Project players should still feel very much at home.
Oh, for sure.
The rest of the game flow is fairly easy. It's all of the figuring out what means what is difficult.
Sure.
The powers are really easy. Phase 1 is income at the beginning of each round, including the first. You're going to gain all of the income stuff. Income always looks like a hand like this. This means during income phase, you're going to get 3 points and 2 coins. That's nice. A really cool competency tile to have. Anytime you have anything with a hand on it, that's what you're going to get. For example, look, I'm going to already get a cube right here. And actually, we're going to, when we put out our workshops, actually, I'm not even sure that they can see that. There we go. I'm going to get 3 cubes for my income right here. Notice when you start building guilds, you're going to get power increases and coins. And once you start building your schools, you're going to start getting scholars every single turn because they all have the little hands underneath. Anything that is visible, notice underneath these buildings have little things that you can get. Anytime that you build a building, you can fairly well expect you're going to get something out of it. Except maybe one of these middle workshops has nothing under it. But most things that you build is going to give you something. So after income, after you have taken all of the stuff from the supply, your supply of scholars is limited to 7 in the entire game. Coins is unlimited. Tools is unlimited. Tools are these little wood blocks. Now notice tools on everything is denoted by these white blocks. They're, in truth, they are wood colored blocks, not white blocks. So just keep that in mind.
This day and age, I expect them to be little shovels.
What?
A lot of board games, and when they're deluxeified, have like the actual like.
No, shovels are shovels. Those are different.
Same thing.
Now, if it was tools, it'd be like gears or something.
Oh, gears, sure.
So, then phase 2, we're going to do actions following the turn order over and over and over again. We are just going to go player 1, player 2, player 3, player 4, player 5, player 1, player 2, player 3, player 4, player 5, until someone decides to pass. And then I'll go over what happens at that point in just a bit. So, except for the pass action, you can perform any action as often as you like. You can do the same action over and over and over and over again, but you can take one action before it's the next player's turn. So, this is a handy dandy action card that tells everything that you can do, but you really don't need it. It's really fairly intuitive once you get into it. The first action you can take is to terraform and build. Or terraform, it's really should be terraform and or build.
Sure.
You can build without terraforming. You can terraform without building. So, in order to build a workshop, as I have often mentioned, you're going to have to terraform to your native terrain. So, obviously, the place where you are building must be undeveloped, no other building on it, and within reach of one of your existing buildings. So, and in order to terraform, it has to not be your native terrain. I can't terraform this and then terraform it back just in case I get some sort of terraforming bonus. Oh, wait, I do. Goblins get 2 gold every time they terraform. So I cannot exploit this by saying, I'm going to change this to desert so I can change it to wasteland. No, I'm not allowed to do that.
Right.
So keep that in mind. So you're going to terraform. Let's say I did have a sailing of 1, so I could go here. All I would need to do is pay the cost of a workshop. And a workshop is going to cost 1 tool and 2 coins. And this is going to, some of these costs may vary based on your particular player power. So, if I have to terraform, I must spend those shovels at that moment. How much does it cost for a shovel? That's based on your terraforming level. Currently, it costs me 3 cubes for every terraforming level. If I increase my terraforming level, it will only cost me 2 per shovel, but I will get into that momentarily because that is one of the actions you can take is to increase your sailing level and your terraforming level. Let's say I wanted to build here in this mountain spot. It's 1 space away. That's going to cost me 3 shovels. So if I have currently 3 cubes, then I can spend a cube for my workshop, and 2 coins, and then I can put a workshop and terraform that to wasteland. So, if for some reason I have enough to sort of terraform it closer to what my type is, for example, this plains here, I don't have 6 cubes plus a 7th one for the workshop. I could terraform this 1 step to desert, and it would stay desert until such time as I could take the terraform and build action again to make this a full-fledged, wonderful wasteland. There are also other ways to gain spades. For example, there are a lot of standard actions down here at the bottom of the board. Notice if I have 6 power, I can do a 2 shovel action. If I have a 4 power, I can take a 1 shovel action. And that means to terraform and build. Thanks for following Vino Biera, and thanks for subscribing, Blessed Exchequer.
Thank you.
I just noticed both of those coming in right simultaneously. We are teaching Age of Innovation. Thank you so much for that subscription.
11 months. That's amazing.
Almost a full year. So, almost my birthday.
Almost.
So, if the free spades that you gain from this are not enough, you could gain the additional spades by paying tools. If you gain 2 spades, but you only need 1 to change your terrain, you could then spend your final shovel to terraform anything adjacent to you. Now, if you do manage to change a second one to your native terrain, you cannot place another workshop on that space. You have to wait till next turn to do that.
Right.
Terraform and build means terraform 1 hex all the way, or one of them part way, or one of them and then another one a little bit more, but you can only build 1 thing. Hey, Silver Medal Tavern rating with a party of 15. What are y'all playing? We are teaching Age of Innovation, a Terra Mystica game.
Welcome in. Thanks for that raid.
So it can be a little confusing as to what happens if you have additional spades or shovels, as the case may be, whichever word you want to use, spade or shovel.
Yeah.
All the same thing to me. Some people call it a Kaiser blade. I call it a sling blade.
Oh my goodness.
So, but the rule book is fairly clear on how to handle each of those situations. Sometimes you can also gain spades as a science bonus. This will allow you to terraform. It will not allow you to build. So keep that in mind. Now, let's say that I have the workshop out here and I want to upgrade a building. Well, that is the second action on here, is to upgrade a building. You can upgrade a workshop to a guild. You can upgrade a guild to sort of side grading a guild to a school, or you can upgrade a guild to a palace, or upgrade a school to a university. And that's going to cost you some amount of tools and coins, as shown here on your board. To build a guild is going to cost you 2 cubes and either 3 coins if you are next to somebody, or 6 coins if you are not. Now, that somebody means an opposing player, not yourself. So if I'm next to Steph, it's only going to cost me 3 coins. And she has the chance to get power. If I'm not next to her, it's going to cost me a whopping 6 coins. For a school, it's 3 cubes and 5 coins. Palaces, 4 cubes and 6 coins. University, 5 cubes and 8 coins. So, upgrading a workshop to a guild, that is going to help you get more coins during income. Upgrading a guild to the palace will let you not only build your palace, but will give you access to one of these 4 palace tiles, which you will then place in this spot on your player board. And the faster you can build your palace, the quicker choice you're going to get for one of these tiles. Upgrading a guild to a school, every time you build a school, you're going to get one of these competency tiles. Hey, that's how you get these. In addition to gaining the competency tile, which you're just going to place next to your player board, since there's not a spot really to place them, you will also get whatever is next to them on the board. For example, here you're going to get 2 white books and 1 white or medicine push up the medicine science track. This is 1 book and 2 pushes up the science up the medicine track, and this is 3 pushes up the medicine track, but no books. Engineering, law, and banking, depending on which competency tile you take, is which books you get or which increases you get up the track. Whenever upgrading the school to the university, it will allow you to choose a competency tile just as if you had built a school. Also, whenever you have placed this university, not only do you get a scholar like you do when you build a school, but you only need 3 buildings in that group to form a city instead of 4. Another thing that you can do on your turn is to increase your sailing or your terraforming levels. That increases your sailing level from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3. Terraforming levels from 3 cubes per shovel to 2 cubes per shovel to 1 cube per shovel. And every time that you advance, you're going to get some sort of bonus, either books or points. However, it is quite expensive to do these upgrades because they will cost you at least a scholar and some amount of coins, and the terraforming level also requires at least a tool. Depending on the power that you are, you might have to pay fewer coins. Another action that you can do is to, I'm going to go in the order of the rule book here, not the order on the card. Develop an innovation. In order to take an innovation tile, you have to be able to pay the development costs. Notice that there are book costs underneath each of these innovation tiles. Also, there's one innovation tile, so if you snooze, you might lose it. You know what I say about this? Don't wait, or it'll be too late. So if you have 2 white books and 3 of any other color book, that's what this gray book means, then you can take this innovation tile. I already have 1 white book, so I could take this, or I can use that white book as one of the extra book costs for something else. Or maybe this one. You do not have to use this like a tech tree. This is always available. It just takes specific types of books. Bloody says, colorful board. Yes, indeed. So, if you have not built your palace yet, this is going to come at an additional 5 coin costs. So, hopefully you've built your palace before you start investing in the innovation tiles.
No.
Another action that you can do is to send a scholar. Remember when I said that this green neutral dude went up 2 spots by placing a scholar out here? Well, this works the exact same way. If you have a scholar available to you, you can place it out here on one of these spots. Notice one of them has a 3 on it. The other ones have 2s on it. You can place it on this 3 and you will go up 3 spots. Also, don't forget to take your power. That is really easy to forget. Now, once that 3 is gone, then there's only 2s left. However, once all of these are gone, you can always spend a scholar to send it up 1 spot and then just put this back in the supply.
Yep. You might run out of scholars.
Now, keep in mind, you can never recover these scholars. Once they're in the science display, they're locked there. Yeah. You can never get them back, for instance, with income. And you've only got 7 in the entire game. So keep that in mind. It's nice to get a nice little jump on people by sending a scholar out there and getting the quick boost, but it does come at that permanent scholar loss cost. And remember, you have to first gain a scholar from the supply before you can even take that action. So, you could also turn this back around. You could also take one of these power or book actions. Those are all the ones across the bottom of the board. Remember the book actions I told you about earlier. These are randomly chosen at the start of the game, and these are always available in every game, and these are called power actions because they cost you power. Here's the catch. They can only be used once per round. For example, if Steph decides, as she so often does, to spend 4 power for 7 money, you will take one of these X tokens and you will put it on that little octagonal stop sign looking thing. And so this is going to be unavailable to me. If someone takes the 4 power for 1 shovel action, then they're going to get a terraform and build for 4 power. And then we'll put one of these X markers right over the top. Anytime you have any of these little stop sign actions, like this one is one of the palace actions, get an income of 5 power, and once during your turn, you can use one of your actions to get 2 tools. And then you put an X on it, and it's going to stay there until the start of the next round.
Yeah, my person allows me to get a book once per round.
Wow, it's right there. How about that?
I have to use an action, though, so if I'm in a hurry to try and race you for something, it's going to be less good. But
that's correct. But if you're trying to delay, maybe that's a really quick way, easy way for you to delay. Absolutely. Not that you would want to delay, but you might if you're waiting on my round bonus tile. But we'll talk about that here in a second. You've also got, that's what I was mentioning about all of the special actions, like the one on Steph's board, like the one on this palace tile. That is this action right here. Any type of special action. You can do resource conversion as many times as you want on your turn. It's not even shown here. That is shown on your player board right here. Finally, you can pass. And this is the icon for When you pass, this stuff happens. So what you're going to do is you are going to check your round bonus tile for the pass icon. For example, I have a round bonus tile with a pass icon, and it says, when you pass, if you have built the palace or the university, gain 4 points for each. Well, fat chance of me having that on round one.
Yeah,
However, this round bonus tile did give me, or will give me, I should say, a tool. So I'm going to turn this tile in, and I'm going to take one of the 3 face-up round bonus tiles right here. If there are any coins on them, I'm going to get those coins. And then I'm going to take one of these 3, place it in front of my board, and turn it face down, indicating I've already passed. And this is what I've got coming to me next round.
Yep.
And then I'm going to take my little marker here, and I'm going to place it over to the side. Notice this says rounds 1, 3, and 5. This says rounds 2, 4, and 6. Basically, let's say if Steph decided to pass and then I pass, Steph's going first in round 2, and then she decides to pass later, and I decide to pass, and hey, we're in round 3, and this is the turn order. We just go back and forth like this.
So confused that I'm not red.
It really throws you a little bit.
So confused.
So that's all the actions. That is what is called phase 2. Phase 3 is called the science bonus and preparation for the next round. So the first thing you're going to do after everyone has passed, let's say we've all passed on round 1, we're going to gain this science bonus, which means now this is the round bonus. This has already happened during round 1. Here's the science bonus for round 1. For every 3 levels you've gone up on the engineering track, you're going to get a free scholar.
That's
so
pretty great.
If I've gone up to level 6 on engineering, I'm going to get 2 scholars. Level 9, it's going to be difficult to do on round 1. That would be 3 scholars. But hey, you might be up there if this were higher.
Sure.
Then you are going, if there are spades, you're going to take those immediately. That does not allow you to build. Then you are going to remove all of those X tokens from all of the little stop signs. You're going to place coins on the round bonus tiles that did not get taken. You're going to turn your round bonus tiles face up, making them available, and you're going to flip over the round score tile so it doesn't distract you anymore with goals that no longer apply. We're going to do this for 6 rounds. Remember, for 2-player games between rounds 5 and round 6, you're going to reveal this area bonus tile so you know where your competition, that little green player, is for area scoring. After the end of round 6, there is no science bonus. There are 2 round scoring bonuses. And so you don't need to do any end game stuff other than everything up here. And that is get points for the largest area, your majority on the science track, and leftover resource scoring. Let me explain a little bit about these. The area scoring, you're going to find your largest group of buildings that is not adjacent. They don't just have to be adjacent, they just have to be within reach. That means that you could potentially sail to them if you had to. Let's say you had a bonus at one point. There is an area bonus tile that gives you a +1 to your sailing that might let you reach a little bit farther across the map. You don't always have that reach, but you might want to build that reach before the end of the game, because otherwise you're going to have 2 disconnected areas that is not going to score you for this area bonus. Take your largest group of buildings and just count the number of buildings, not the power for the buildings, just the number of buildings. And then first place gets 18 points, second place gets 12, third place gets 6. Fourth place and fifth place will get nothing. The neutral buildings do count if they are indeed yours. Then we're going to do this science scoring. Whoever is the highest level gets 8 points. Second highest level gets 4. Third highest is 2. 0 does not count. So if for some reason Steph goes up beyond the green guy here and I don't do anything, I don't get third by default. I have to get at least one level. If there's a tie for the same number of buildings or the same level, what you're going to do is you are going to share the points for the number of places and then divide equally. So if Steph and I both have the most, we're going to take 30 points, split them evenly. Each of us would get 15 points because 18 plus 12 is 30. Split in two is 15. If James were also playing, he would only get 6. So he would get he would get it. We would combine first and second. There would be no real second. And then the same thing for the science scoring. You either combine first and second, second and third, first, second, and third, and split 3 ways, etc. And I believe that is all the rules. There's a really good appendix that talks about all of the planning display effects because the iconography is really heavy. All of the factions and what they do, all of the innovation tiles, all of the palace tiles, the power and book actions, the round bonus tiles, the city tiles, the competency tiles, the round scoring tiles, all of them are there.
It needs to be.
It needs to be because, yeah.
Happy Sunday, Aldi.
Happy Sunday, Aldi. Thanks for the subscription. We have just finished our teach of Age of Innovation, a Terra Mystica game. So it's not vastly different from Terra Mystica.
Right.
There are a few differences, like the keys on the science track for the city, for the city advancements. Let's see what else is different. The 2-player game setup. That variant is a little bit different.
You draft the people is the biggest thing for me.
All of the drafting is different. The neutral buildings are different.
Neutral building, that's interesting.
So
that's cool. There's a lot of differences, but it is
the innovation tiles
generally the same. You can get up to 3 innovation tiles because each player has room for 3 on their board. So I can't get shut out of getting them because there's going to be at least 3 for me, even if it's not the 3 I want. But
right.
So that's kind of good too. So yeah.
Yeah, because the alternate draft lets you get that palace tile that you want. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to draft it ahead of time.
For sure.
And then it just sits there reserved for you if you draft that way versus the
that too
original way.
Right.
So there's that as well. So there's a little bit different, but largely it's a lot of Terra Mystica just in a different package.
Yep.
So so I think fans of Terra Mystica, if you're a completionist like me, probably gonna get it, right?
Yeah.
I heard there might be an expansion coming, and I think that might push more Terra Mystica users. See, the complaint that I often hear with Terra Mystica going over to Gaia Project or to Age of Innovation is that, that does some good things. It has some good improvements, but we got a couple of expansions over here for Terra Mystica, and until y'all have that many expansions, I'm going to stay over here in Terra Mystica world. Not going to go off to Gaia Project, not going to go off to Age of Innovation, but hey, I think there may be an expansion coming. I'm not sure.
We know that there's one for Gaia Project, is what we read.
Oh, is it Gaia Project? Not for this. It's for Gaia Project.
I'm sure that they'll do one for this eventually. But
we read something.
Who knows?
We read something.
Who knows?
So there might be some movement on that front. But yeah, I could see where it would be really easy to put in additional factions into this game, easily changing things around. So definitely worth checking out. And hey, if you want to watch the playthrough, we're about to do it.
Yes. So if you like what you saw here, Join us
on this teach.
on twitch.tv/boardgamersteph every Wednesday and Sunday night starting at 5 p.m. Central, where we stream 3 games because we play all the games.
Or more.
Or more.
So yeah, come join us on Twitch where we play all the games. Or you can check out Steph's YouTube channel at Board Gamer Steph.
Yep. And for those on Twitch, we'll be right back with this playthrough.
And click below.
That's right.